Rajdeep joins us as well. You're a Mumbai boy. These are paths you're familiar with. You can't see the necklace. You can't see Nariman Point. All you can see are people, and they've come out in massive numbers, Rajdeep, to celebrate.
Absolutely. It's a very short distance, and therefore, you can pack in a lot of people within that 1.5 kilometer stretch, and it's taken, more than 30 minutes already, and a few more before they reach the Wankhede Stadium. These are great scenes. These are scenes that are reminiscent of previous motorcades. I know Mr. Gavaskar is here, and I'm going to say something which he might remember. He and I are actually connected. I told this to Nikhil earlier today, to the first motorcade that took place in India when an Indian team was brought way back in 1971.
He wasn't part of it because he went to play the World Series. He just told us on the
71.
broadcast.
You were not there in the at the motorcade, Mr. Gavaskar, when the team returned from England?
No, I wasn't. I'd gone at the invitation of Sir Garfield Sobers to play in a double-wicket tournament in Bermuda, so I missed that motorcade reception in 71.
Okay, so then I remain the only link between 71 and now, because I was there as part of that motorcade, which is 53 years ago. But that was Mr. Gavaskar's debut year, and the remarkable debut that he had. But, then they had vintage cars, Rahul. There was 6 vintage cars organized in which the 16 players had to be there. It was an open air from the airport to Brabant Stadium, and from all indication, the crowds perhaps were even bigger at the time. Again, the month of August or September. So it was the monsoon in Mumbai. Something about the monsoon, Mumbai and cricket motorcades. Even Mahendra Singh Dhoni, when he came back in 2007, was a monsoon evening. So it's fantastic. It shows continuity from 71 to today, 83. Then there was the big one in 2007 and 11. This is just fantastic. And lots of lovely little stories here. Rahul Dravid was to retire as coach in November, stayed back for 6 months after a phone call from Rohit Sharma. Hardik Pandya, that Nikhil just said, the complete turnaround in his fortunes. Mumbai Indians sort of being targeted as Mumbai Indians captain, now being celebrated. Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, Ravi Jadeja all retiring. I think it's just fantastic. This generation of players, Rahul and Nikhil, I think deserved this one big trophy that they can take home and say, we were world champions. So, because they've been outstanding in all forms of cricket and have only lost in finals in the past. So, all credit to the players. I hope that the players are the focus and not officials. That's my only limited point.
The officials know where to plant themselves when they come in.
They do. I mean, Mr. Jai Shah is there, Ashish Shelar is there, Rajiv Shukla, who has an uncanny knack of always being in the photographs. I just think that this is a moment for the cricketers. Look at Rahul Dravid. He's at the back. He's hardly.
Rohit Sharma is at the back.
Rohit Sharma is at the back, and I hope that they are the real stars of the moment, and they should be recognized as such. And it
says so much about the personality about these cricketers. Virat Kohli constantly wanting to message someone. We presume that's his wife, and he's sending it to his wife and children. Whereas you've got Hardik Pandya, and Surya Kumar Yadav, who seem to be the most excitable. They're the ones who are dancing around the most.
Mohammad Siraj seems to be terrifically excitable. Akshar Patel.
There's Akshar, yeah.
They're the younger lot, and why not? This is their moment in the sun, and it's wonderful that they're getting this reception.
Do you feel, Sunny Bhai, that this generation dances a lot better than Indian cricketers in the past?
Yes, I think so. I think these guys have got maybe better footwork. I'd like to think we were better looking, but these guys have got better footwork.
No, but in that generation, you didn't have, Mr. Gavaskar, you didn't have mobile phones. So how did you capture all these events? Would you get the photographs from friends? How would you capture the events that you were part of?
I think, there were some photographs taken. There were, that black and white, movie that was taken. So some of us got, somebody would send it to us, but that's about it. We basically got newspaper clippings, not this kind of a thing.
But what is your favorite memory of all these victories you have? 83, 85, 71, you've been part of those 3 big victories. Then you've seen the other big wins. Is there a special moment? I remember once reading somewhere you said that 6 that Mahendra Singh Dhoni hit at the Wankhede was something you'll never forget to win the 2011 World Cup. Is there a standout moment in all this for you, sir?
I think, that black and white, movie that was taken. So some of us got, that black and white, movie that was taken. So some of us got, newspaper clippings, not this kind of a thing. I think there were two standout moments which actually, tell you what what winning meant for this team, and both were on the field. One was the Akshar Patel catch to get rid of Mitchell Marsh in the game against Australia, because that partnership was threatening to take the game away from India. And then Surya Kumar Yadav's catch to get rid of David Miller in the final over of the final. So those were the two standout.
What was more important? We were having an amateur debate in the newsroom before this broadcast. One side arguing that Klaasen getting caught out behind the stumps, that was more important. The other side arguing that that David Miller catch that Surya Kumar Yadav took, that was more crucial. Because if Klaasen had stayed for a few more balls, that could have been the end of the match. From your expert lens, which of the two do you think was more pivotal to the final outcome?
Oh, definitely, I think Klaasen's wicket. And for that, I think we need to credit Rishabh Pant as well. Because he was the one who took off his pads, asked for the physio to come in and treat his knee, whether it was an imaginary injury or whatever. He slowed the game down. He made, you could see Klaasen pacing up and down, getting impatient to face the ball. And the next one was a wideish delivery, and he chased it and was caught behind. And that broke the partnership, that broke the rhythm, that broke the flow. And that obviously was the crucial one. But David Miller, we have seen in the IPL, is capable of scoring 24-30 runs in the final over of the last 6 deliveries. So that catch also was equally important.
Rishabh Pant you spoke of, given how bad his injury was, did you anticipate that he'd be able to recover in the way that he has?
No, to be honest, well, I hadn't seen the injury. I'd only seen the photographs, but I'd heard from, guys like Ravi Shastri how bad the injury was, how it was so sad to see him in the hospital in the state that he was in. But full marks to him, because he was the one who asked the doctors, how long will it take? And then he said to the doctors, I'll be ready 6 months before. And that's exactly what he did. He worked very, very hard to get back to full fitness. And now he's once again an integral part of the Indian team.
Rajdeep, did you anticipate that he'd be able to recover? Because when we saw the stories of just how bad the injury was, I thought, poor guy, his career seems to be now in a big funk, and then he's been able to recover from there.
Absolutely, Rahul. And don't forget, he's a wicket keeper. So the general sense was, even if he becomes a batsman, will he be able to keep? Because when you have knee injuries, you have injuries below the, on the thigh. These are injuries which, as a wicket keeper, because you're going up and down all the time, will you be able to be good enough to keep for India? One thing, you could keep for an IPL team, but will you make the next level during the for India? And he was brilliant behind the stumps. Yeah, he may have been up and down at times with his bat. Whenever he clicked, he was always good. He had a couple of bad games, but as a keeper, he was uniformly terrific. And I think those are the little stories. Within this team, there are lots of little individual battles that they won. You mentioned Hardik Pandya's battle, Rishabh Pant's battle coming back from injury. You've had Jasprit Bumrah, who also spent a long time on the sidelines because of injury, came back. You've had Rahul Dravid, who was going to retire as coach. Rohit Sharma was likely never to play T20 again. Virat Kohli, his last big match. Ravindra Jadeja, last big match. They've all had these little moments, which I think make this so special. Yes, sir. Mr. Gavaskar, go ahead, sir.
No, I'm not saying. I'm listening to you.
No, I was just saying that there were lots of these little lovely stories of all these players coming together. In that sense, it seems to have been a team celebration more than any individual standout performances. Much like 83 in many ways, there was Kapil Dev's great innings, but apart from that, everyone contributed at some stage or the other in 83 as well.
Well, more so in this tournament, because you see, in every match there was somebody or the other who came and put his hand up. A lot of people were towards the semi-final, final stage were questioning Shivam Dubey's place in the side. But he played those little cameos, 25, 30 in 10, 15 deliveries, which took and also had a partnership with the other set batsman at the other end. So those little partnerships which helped India to get a good total. Sometimes you tend to look at one innings and one spell of bowling and forget that there is a partnership to go with it as well. So everybody, you're absolutely right. Everybody contributed. on the field, it was a tremendous team, because you had to be present at the ground to see the body language. They walked like champions. They were walking out to field like champions. They had that belief when even when they came out to defend 120 against Pakistan. You just had to see the way they sprinted onto the field. They sprinted onto the field thinking they had scored 1,200 runs. It was like that. They were so confident. Now that is what this team is all about. This team is about super confidence.
And I think that's a big difference between Indian cricket, of the past.
What would mean more? The one-day World Cup victory or a T20 World Cup victory? Let's bring everyone in on this.
I mean,
Go ahead, Nikhil.
For sure, 50 over, because that's the original World Cup. But just looking at where the game is progressing, I don't know how long 50 over is going to be around.
Mr. Gavaskar, winning a 50-over World Cup is a bigger deal, or winning a T20 World Cup is a bigger deal?
I think the T20, because there's very little time to recover. In 50 overs, you have some overs to recover. It's almost like 2.5 T20 games, because it's a 100-over game. But T20, there's very little time to recover. You 1 or 2 overs can change the course of the game, and that's why the this T20 is a super fabulous win.
No, I'll have to endorse Mr. Gavaskar's view, because as journalists as well, T20, we find it tough to recover. Because you finish one live, you go and sit in the press box, and before you know, there's the mid-innings, you have to go out. Before you know, the game starts.
Making it seem as if he worked as hard as during the election.
In ODI cricket, you can analyze.
We traveled the length and breadth of this country during the election. Nikhil Naz, in the manner he's speaking, is trying to make it seem as if being in Barbados on the beach was as tough as being in Dumka.
I never went to the beach. In my entire trip.
But I have a slightly different take. I actually, maybe because I'm old-fashioned, I still think that the 50-over game is something worth preserving, as we saw in the World Cup in India this time. I think the World Cup in India showed that there's still life in 50 overs. And I think it is because Nikhil said the original World Cup. I still think of that as, when you look at world champions, as you do in football, there is the Nations Cup, there's the Euro soccer, but you aim for the big one every 4 years. This comes every 2 now. So that's part of my problem with it, and I think there's a surfeit of it. I'm sorry to play party pooper here, but I think 50 overs, and I actually think I'd love to see India win the World Test Championship, because I think eventually, that would be even nicer. It would be the icing on the cake. I think if you win T20 and Test cricket, you've scaled 2 summits. For nostalgia, the 50 overs. I mean, Mr. Gavaskar's here, I'm not saying it because he's here, but I think 83 was our greatest cricket moment. I still think so. After all these years.
First, right? It's like Afghanistan winning
That's right. If after all these years, Mr. Gavaskar, if I have to be asked which is that greatest moment, it's your team of 83 and what you all achieved then, because you were the first to climb Everest, and therefore everyone else has taken the baton forward. I'm saying these cricketers are fantastic. They've done remarkably well. I'm just saying it's always nice to win the first one.
Yes, I think, as you said, to be the first to climb the Everest is always, first to climb the peak is always a very, very special feeling. But there was no pressure on us. There was pressure on the 2011 team, the pressure on the 2024 team. I don't think there was the same kind of pressure on the 2007 team, which won the first ever T20 World Cup, because again, the expectation that nobody knew what the T20 format was. Not too many people knew what the T20 format was, those who followed the game. And so that was, wow, lovely. That's a great win for MSD's team. But that win meant that every other team that played in the T20 World Cup was expected to win. And when that happens, the pressure just gets, more and more.
We're speaking so much of the Indian team. I want to ask you 2 questions about other teams. One, South Africa. I was with some South African fans at the airport. The word chokers has just become the worst abuse in their lexicon. What would it take for the South African team to recover? They went out, played confidently, were unbeaten till the finals, and then just at the end, when they're 30 of 30, it seemed as if we'd lost and they were in a good position. They end up bungling it up. Maybe England or Australia wouldn't have done that. So why does this keep happening to South Africa? What would it take for them mentally to recover from this?
Well, it's tough. It's always, somebody who's, getting into the 90s. I talked about this Indian team as well, that they were getting into the 90s, getting into the semi-finals and the and the finals, but not scoring that 100, not winning it. So it's the same case with South Africa. You have to say though that the South Africans have possibly got into the 90s for the first time, because all this while they have been hardly ever in the playoffs as well, maybe the occasional playoffs. So they have really not been. They've always been a good team, a team that everybody else is wary of. But when it comes to somehow delivering, they have not been able to deliver. This was in the palm of their hands. How they allowed it to slip away is something that's going to haunt them for a long, long time.
Also on Afghanistan, how far do you think Afghanistan is from actually being able to win one of these trophies? Has that team reached a level of evolution where they can actually win a major World Cup, whether it's T20 next time round, or do you think they're just shining on the odd occasion and may not have the juice that it takes to actually go across the finishing line?
On subcontinent pitches, there will be a handful. Even on pitches here in the West Indies, where there was a little bit of help for their spin bowlers, they showed what they were. I think it's in the batting that they've got to really, strengthen their batting a bit, because their batting sometimes gets a little bit lost. They don't know how to go. Either it is, going bang, 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 or suddenly, quietening up. So that is something that they will have to work on. They work on their batting. They work on their fielding. Their fielding, my God, some of the catches that they drop sometimes, makes you feel, hey, what kind of a team this is. They're simple catches they drop and allow the opposition to get another innings. So the fielding has to improve considerably for Afghanistan to support their bowling. Their bowling is very incisive. So if they get the fielding support, then they will really be pretty close to winning, championships.